My pleasure to welcome in studio. Pete Gosar is with me, running for County Commissioner here in Albany County. Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Dave, and good morning to your audience. That was really quick on those tickets. It's going to be 38 degrees and windy. God, I love Cowboy fans.
Oh yeah, it's fun. People like free things. That's funny. I always sit there and laugh when we give away some things and people don't respond to it maybe necessarily as quickly. But then I'm like, I love free things still. I love free things when I was a kid. Going through college, you really like free things. But now, even as an adult, I try and take advantage of as much as possible. And I don't understand people who don't. So but I know it is supposed to be an interesting weather day. I think actually the football game won't be too terrible, but be a little bit on the cool side. Well, let's talk a little bit about you running for county commissioner here. I know you've run for some other offices here, so I guess what kind of keeps you coming back to the fray a little bit for you, Pete?
Well, I think there's such an opportunity in Albany County. This is a wonderful community. If you look at the number of not-for-profits and the safety net that's generated from the local community, and I think that there's a real opportunity when you work in the not-for-profit sector. You understand the power of collaboration, and I think that needs to be brought to the county. I think the city and the county and the university and the state need to work a little bit more closely in Albany County, and there are things that can be done that are just amazing if it's a priority.
Well, let's talk about big things you feel like can be done here in Albany County. What are some focal points for you? I know one in particular is transparency, because I remember stopping and talking with you at Freedom as a Birthday for a few moments. I know that's a big one, but talk about that as well as some other big items you feel like need to be addressed as a county commissioner if you get elected Tuesday.
I think transparency is a big thing for me, David, and it's those things that invite people in, and I think if you invite people into the county, if you make the meetings at night when most people are done working, that they can attend. If you live stream, either one of those ideas cost you any money, then people maybe will engage with you. And so I think it's really important to make that available to people. And it's done at the city, it's done at the school board. It's the reason the Cowboys play at night, right? The poor people have an opportunity to participate. Right. And maybe that's why people don't vote. So I think it's really important. And then I think you think about the Pilot Hill land purchase. This is a real great opportunity, to go from Prexy's to Pilot Hill without touching private land, and that's an economic driver as well as an open space driver, which is really important to me and I think most of the people in Albany County.
Yeah, I think what it was, 92% of some of the respondents view that as a very good purchase of land and a good opportunity to use the land for what they would like to see. Plus providing protection for the Casper Aquifer. I think that's important to a lot of folks in the community as our primary drinking water source.
Well, I think you can't negate that at all. I think there's an economic driver with the pilot land purchase, but I think also the aquifer protection is a 2-for-1, and you don't often get that sometimes. Protect, 13% of the aquifer. It's not a gigantic amount, but I mean every little bit counts, and I think when that water is primary for 30 or 35,000 people in your county, you really have to go above and beyond to look to protect it.
The county, we're unfortunately one of the poorer counties here. How do we go about, in your mind, if you get elected, how do we go about making some things a little easier day-to-day life and trying to correct maybe some things that or solve some issues in the county when we're in such a budget crunch right now, Pete?
Well, I think you have to look outside of the general idea of how it's been run. I think collaboration is a big part, but I'll just talk to you about, there's a program that we took advantage of at the not-for-profit I work at, the Blue Sky program, and so the ratepayers of Rocky Mountain Power put in extra money for renewable energy technologies, and that was placed on our building at a cut rate, so our investment will return in 4 years. We'll have 21 years of additional cost savings because of that. Those grant programs are available to the county. You can put them on buildings. In fact, I know I sat on the call. A lot of county buildings, a lot of fire stations were getting renewable panels by Rocky Mountain Power in Utah. And I think that we can do that here, and I think there's an appetite for that, and that's just one idea. I think you can survey the amount of county roads and say, do we really need all these roads? The roads are really expensive. They're the number 3 budget item. So how do you go about inventorying and make sure that you have what you need and you don't have extra road maintenance?
Well, with roads, and that can become a touchy topic, especially to people that live, in rural parts of this county. That is big. So, I guess, is there a balance there that you try and strike with that and what you're talking about?
You bet there's a balance. You don't want to get in the way of anybody getting their kids to school or emergency vehicles getting out to them. But you have an opportunity to look over it, and then you talk to people. I think by and large, many of the problems that we see are maybe because people didn't go out and talk to folks. I think that's a really important thing, and I think when you go and talk, you owe the public to listen. And there are a lot of experts in this county that haven't been tapped, and I think it's high time that we did that.
Talking with Pete Gosar, candidate for County Commissioner here in Albany County. The election, obviously, I know people have voted early, and you can vote early. Absentee ballots have already been sent out, and some people have returned those, or you can just go to the polls, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Tuesday. What else have you been hearing on the campaign trail? You mentioned getting out, listening, talking with folks. What are some other topics that are brought up by folks that you've talked to on the campaign trail?
Well, I think that by and large, people are really impressed with the county program heads, the treasurer, the assessor, the clerk. And I think as a leader, a county commissioner, you trust those people. You say, hey, this is the budget we have. What do you need? And then how can you work together? We need to update the software. There's no doubt about that at the county. It needs to be more user-friendly. So how can you get a software package that works for the clerk's office, that works for the assessor's office, that makes it more available to people so that they can see the budget in real time? That's able to be done, and we're working at it, but I think it needs to be accelerated.
Anything else that kind of pops into your brain in terms of major issues that we face here in Albany County that haven't been addressed from your perspective?
Well, we'll always be short on funds, I think, but maybe not. The wind is starting to creep up in the northern part of the county, and that's a really important thing, and I think a lot that comes with that are being addressed with the couple extra sheriffs. They're going to be dedicated towards that. So I think you really have an opportunity to work with your program heads and trust them. They've been there for a long time. They do a wonderful job, and ask them, hey, how do we get some synergies between departments, and how do we work more closely together with the county commission?
4 of you are on the ballot. 2 will be selected. What do you feel separates you from some of these other candidates? When I go to the ballot box, I go, okay, I know what Pete Gosar is about and what he represents. What do you feel separates you from the other candidates in this race, Pete?
Well, by and large, I think it's the willingness to engage with people. I think it's the wanting to put the meetings at a time when most people can attend, live streaming, so those people in Rock River or Centennial don't have to drive in, especially when it gets to be November, December, when the roads get worse. And then we should take those comments off the internet. I think any way you can get people to engage is a great way to have a bigger solution set. And so by and large, I think I'm willing to go out and ask people what they think and listen and make those things available to them.
How difficult do you feel it is to make decisions based upon, this is a county of good size. A lot of the focus tends to be on Laramie, but I've heard from others, and people will chime in with comments even on our social media about, hey, don't forget about us out here, as you mentioned, at Rock River, Centennial, the southwest part of the county towards Woods Landing, or some of the other remote areas. How is that balance in terms of the decision making that you have to make in approaching, whatever comes in front of you guys?
Well, I think if you always start at a solution driven, I don't think many people really need to listen to my ideology. I don't think it helps. But I think, can you get to a solution? Can you get people at the table willing to work and say, hey, you know what, this needs to be done. We need an aquifer protection plan that works. We need an idea on how we get clean water out to Centennial or Rock River. How do we get that done? And ask folks. And if you have to take the show on the road, take it on the road, right? There's just 3 county commissioners that need to travel. That can be done.
Okay, that's interesting that you bring that up, especially it'd be interesting to see what the response would be if you guys were not always just meeting here in Laramie. Yeah, I'd be curious about that.
Yeah, I think it would be an interesting thing. I think you might be welcomed in Rock River or Centennial or any of those other folks who want to engage. It's a long way in for those people. Maybe once in a while you go out there and meet them where they are.
Anything else that you want to get across to voters here before Election Day rolls around on Tuesday, Pete?
Well, I'm super excited. I just talked with the clerk's office the other day, and their voting numbers are way up. And that's what ensures a democracy, is when as many people vote as they can. So I would just encourage more people to vote and continue to vote. we'll get to the right election results if everybody votes. And so, win or lose, I'm really excited about the numbers. Enjoy being here in Albany County, and I look forward to Tuesday night.
Well, best of luck to you. I appreciate you coming in this morning.
Thanks for your time, David. I appreciate it.